There was a distant time before Christ when the people of Israel faced turbulent times. The nation was plunged into conflicts and disobedience to divine commandments. And as a result, King Nebuchadnezzar of mighty Babylon decided to exert his dominion over the kingdom of Judah. Among the misfortunes of this period, a young Jew named Daniel stood out. Daniel, from a humble family, saw his life change abruptly when, still a teenager, he was captured along with other young Israelites. The Babylonian army invaded Jerusalem, taking with them a group of captives, including Daniel and his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They were torn from their lands, homes, and families and cast into an unknown world where the culture, gods, and traditions were foreign and hostile. Thus, Daniel found himself in Babylon, a grand and imposing city that deeply contrasted with the modest landscapes of his homeland. King Nebuchadnezzar, a feared and respected leader, was determined to assimilate the captives into his culture to further consolidate his power. Daniel and his friends were chosen to be educated in the sciences and arts of Babylon, in an attempt to shape their minds according to the standards of the new society. From the beginning, Daniel and his friends refused to deviate from their beliefs and principles. One of the first challenges arose in the form of a royal meal offered by the king. The abundant and sumptuous food was an affront to the Jewish dietary laws. Determined to remain faithful to God, Daniel and his friends asked the chief of the eunuchs to be excused from this meal, requesting only vegetables and water. The chief of the eunuchs hesitated, fearing to displease the king, but after seeing the health and vitality of the young men after a few days, he agreed to continue with the restricted diet. God's blessing on Daniel and his friends' choice was evident. They not only maintained their health but became even more robust than the young men who indulged at the king's table. This small victory marked the beginning of Daniel's journey in Babylon, a journey of challenges and trials, but also of faithfulness and trust in God. The young Jewish exile in Babylon found himself immersed in a remarkable trajectory, marked not only by the inherent challenges of exile, but also by an extraordinary manifestation of divine wisdom. His reputation as a wise man and interpreter of dreams began to flourish amid the complexities of the court of the mighty King Nebuchadnezzar. The Babylonian court was majestic, where wise men and counselors gathered to offer their skills and advice to the king. Among them, Daniel, along with his friends, continued to stand firm in his beliefs despite the pressure to assimilate into Babylonian culture and traditions. His upright and respectful posture, combined with the wisdom that emanated from him, soon captured the king's attention. Daniel's notoriety as a man of uncommon wisdom was solidified when Nebuchadnezzar was afflicted by a disturbing dream. The king, tormented by uncertainty and agony, summoned his wise men, astrologers, and diviners to interpret the riddle that haunted him. However, to his dismay, none of the wise men were able to shed light on the meaning of the dream. It was at this crucial moment that Daniel emerged as a central figure in the narrative. Inspired by God, he boldly offered to interpret the king's dream. His confidence was not based on his own ability but on the conviction that God would guide him to reveal the unknown. Brought into Nebuchadnezzar's presence, Daniel humbly expressed his human inability to decipher the mystery on his own. Instead, he acknowledged God's sovereignty over wisdom and knowledge. With these words, Daniel paved the way for a demonstration of divine power that would manifest through him on that occasion. Nebuchadnezzar, intrigued and eager for answers, listened intently as Daniel described the dream that had tormented his sleep. It was a vision of an imposing statue with parts made of different materials, representing empires that would rise and fall over the centuries. As Daniel vividly revealed the dream's narrative, the atmosphere in the royal hall became filled with anticipation and awe. The interpretation given by Daniel, guided by divine revelation, became the key to unlocking the riddle that had so troubled the king. He explained that the golden head of the statue represented Nebuchadnezzar himself and his kingdom, symbolizing his greatness and power. However, the other parts of the statue, made of less noble materials, symbolized successive empires that would follow. The impact of Daniel's interpretation was profound. Nebuchadnezzar, realizing the uniqueness of Daniel's wisdom and the divine intervention in his explanation, was filled with a mixture of reverence and gratitude. In recognition of Daniel's unique ability, the king not only spared the lives of the wise men who had failed to interpret the dream, but also elevated Daniel and his friends to prominent positions in the court. Daniel, now recognized as a valuable counselor and extraordinary interpreter of dreams, was placed in a position of influence. His rise in the court's hierarchy was not only a testament to his wisdom, but also a testament to God's faithfulness in rewarding those who serve him. Daniel's story also a narrative filled with deeper spiritual principles. It illustrated the truth that divine wisdom surpasses human wisdom and that trust in God can open doors that, at first glance, seem insurmountable. Daniel's influence in the court was not limited to his ability to interpret dreams. His moral integrity, commitment to God, and willingness to remain faithful to his beliefs, even in a hostile environment, made him a respected figure by all. The respect Daniel earned in the court transcended cultural and religious barriers, turning him into an example of inspiring leadership. His story, especially the episode of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, echoed through the generations, reminding us that divine wisdom can transcend human limitations. Daniel, the young exile, transformed into a beacon of hope and faith in the darkness of exile. His journey, shaped by divine visions and unwavering courage, continues to inspire those who seek to understand the importance of faithfulness and trust in God, even in the most challenging moments of life. Daniel's life, marked by his wisdom and faithfulness to God, continued to unfold over the years, serving under different royal administrations. After Nebuchadnezzar's reign, Daniel served under kings Belshazzar and Darius, facing challenges that tested his faith and devotion. Belshazzar, Nebuchadnezzar's successor, inherited the grand court of the kingdom, but his leadership was characterized by irreverence towards sacred things. During Belshazzar's reign, a notable event occurred, the famous writing on the wall. In the midst of an extravagant feast, where Belshazzar and his guests profaned the sacred vessels from the Temple of Jerusalem, a mysterious hand appeared and wrote words on the palace wall. None of the king's wise men were able to interpret the message, bringing fear and perplexity to the court. Daniel's reputation as an interpreter of dreams and a messenger of God remained intact, and he was called upon to decipher the enigma on the wall. The message revealed by Daniel foretold the end of Belshazzar's reign and the fall of Babylon to the Medo-Persian Empire. Although the king acknowledged Daniel's ability, his reign ended that same night, fulfilling God's prophecy. With the rise of the Medo-Persian Empire, Daniel once again found himself in a position of influence in the court. His wisdom and integrity caught the attention of the new king, who planned to appoint Daniel as one of the kingdom's top 3 administrators. Thus, Daniel continued to serve faithfully, becoming a key figure in leadership even amidst significant political and cultural changes. His story is a powerful reminder that trust in God and faithfulness to His will can transform a person's life, even in the most adverse circumstances. However, the envy and jealousy of those around him conspired against him. The episode of the lion's den emerged amid this plot of intrigue. The administrators and satraps, seeing Daniel as a threat to their position, sought to find flaws in his conduct. Recognizing Daniel's dedication to God, they decided to exploit his devotion as a weapon to bring him down. Knowing of Daniel's daily practice of praying to God, they conspired to convince King Darius to issue a decree forbidding any petition to any god or man, except to the king, for a period of 30 days. Daniel, however, remained faithful to his beliefs, even in the face of punishment. He continued to pray to God as usual, without yielding to the pressure of the royal decree. His devotion and loyalty to God surpassed any human fear. The conspirators, noticing Daniel's supposed violation of the royal decree, promptly reported him to King Darius. The unyielding law required that Daniel be cast into the lion's den as punishment for transgressing the decree. Darius, despite respecting Daniel and lamenting his situation, had no choice but to enforce the decree he had signed. The lion's den was a death sentence, a formidable beast that had consumed many before Daniel. The darkness of the den seemed to echo the challenges and adversities Daniel had faced throughout his life. However, even in the darkness, the light of faith and trust in God remained alive within Daniel. The night in the lion's den must have been long and agonizing. The dense darkness, the silence broken only by the distant roars of the lions. All of this served as a testament to Daniel's apparent fragility in the face of such overwhelming forces. Nevertheless, while Daniel faced the imminence of death, divine intervention was at work. The next morning, Darius anxiously ran to the den, calling out for Daniel. To the king's surprise and joy, he found Daniel, and God had sent an angel to shut the mouths of the lions, preserving the life of the faithful prophet. The divine intervention not only saved Daniel from certain death, but also demonstrated to Darius the power and faithfulness of Daniel's God. Justice prevailed, and those who conspired against Daniel were cast into the lion's den, where they were quickly devoured. The story of Daniel in the lion's den was not merely a tale of miraculous preservation of life, but also a powerful demonstration of trust in God in the face of the darkest threats. Daniel's faith once again emerged unshaken, becoming a beacon of hope for all who heard of his journey. The episode of the lion's den not only solidified Daniel's reputation as a man of God, but also strengthened the faith of many who witnessed the miracle. Daniel continued to serve under subsequent reigns, maintaining himself as a respected and trustworthy figure in the court. His commitment to God and his discernment abilities continued to play a crucial role in the kingdom's decision-making. The divine wisdom that enabled him to interpret dreams and overcome challenges was always by his side, a constant source of guidance amidst life's complexities. Over the years, Daniel's story transcended the boundaries of time, becoming a legacy of faith, courage, and fidelity. His life, marked by extraordinary events and divine interventions, became a lasting testimony to God's sovereignty over human destinies. Daniel's name remains a source of inspiration for those seeking to live with integrity amidst adversity and trust in divine providence, regardless of the circumstances. Daniel's life, woven with threads of faithfulness, divine wisdom, and unwavering resolve, unfolded as a remarkable account. His story transcended the limits of time, leaving an incredible mark on biblical narrative. From his early days in Babylon, Daniel remained steadfast in his devotion to God while serving in various administrations. His integrity and wisdom stood out, making him a respected figure in the court. The episode of the lion's den testified to his firm faith, where, due to his loyalty to God, he defied royal decrees and emerged unharmed from the darkness of the den. Beyond his personal experiences, Chapters 7 through 12 of the book of Daniel reveal an intriguing prophetic aspect of his journey. The visions Daniel received were like windows into the future, unveiling events that would unfold long after his own existence. These prophecies not only resonated in his time, but also echoed through the centuries, becoming a subject of study and interpretation for future generations. Daniel's visions, often symbolic and enigmatic, offered a glimpse of God's plan for human history. They addressed empires, conflicts, and events that would shape the course of the world. The interpretation of these visions became a fertile ground for scholars and theologians, fueling discussions and perspectives over the centuries. Thus, Daniel's story became a multifaceted legacy, intertwining his personal journey of faith with a profound understanding of divine purposes. His life and visions continue to inspire, challenging those who seek to understand the complexity of faith, the importance of integrity, and God's sovereignty over the course of human history.